Welcome back to Transfer Talk. It is a new era at Manchester United after Michael Carrick was appointed head coach. Let's head to United's training ground now and speak live to our football correspondent, Rob Dorset. Rob, good to see you again. So tell us what Michael Carrick's first day as United interim head coach is looking like as they prepare for that massive derby on Saturday against City.
Pretty hectic, I think, is the easiest way to describe it. It's been a baptism of fire, I think, for Michael Carrick. We saw him and his longtime friend and confidant, Jonathan Woodgate, arrive at 7:51 this morning at Carrington's training ground. We can show you those pictures as they sped in nice and early to get themselves prepared for what is a big day for Carrick and a big day for the Manchester United squad as well. And my understanding is that whilst the entire new coaching staff was in place here at Carrington by 8:30 a.m, the players weren't far behind them. We saw the players starting to arrive before 9 a.m, and they were all here shortly after 9 a.m, and they had a team meeting, a full squad meeting at pretty early doors, where Carrick introduced himself and the new coaches to the squad and tried to explain to the players exactly what his ethos is, what he expects of them, how he's going to work, what type of football he wants to play. But I think he accepts as well that that's going to take a bit of time to bed in. They've got only 3 training sessions before that big game on Saturday, remember. And they've got to get to know each other, because whilst Trevor Binion and Michael Carrick and Jonathan Woodgate and Johnny Evans all know each other from Manchester United, none of them know Steve Holland, who was the real surprise and the big coup that was brought into the coaching setup after his incredibly impressive history with Chelsea and with England, of course. And so a big day for Steve Holland, taking things at the helm, I think, on the training ground and getting to know the rest of the coaches. So a big introductory day for everybody at Manchester United today. But I'm told that that training session has just finished. Carrick's first training session out on the grass. It was a good one. It was one that all the players enjoyed. But the focus is that first game on Saturday. What a start this is for Michael Carrick and the new era at Manchester United. They've got Arsenal away in their second game with him in charge, but the first game, the Manchester derby at Old Trafford, live on Sky Sports Saturday lunchtime. It's going to be a heck of a way to start.
Yeah, what a start. Rob, thank you very much. From one Rob to another, Mr. Earnshaw, can Carrick make himself a contender for this role long term, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Listen, the way I look with Michael Carrick is he's actually in a really, really good position, because it's a no-lose situation. For example, he knows the club, he's been at the club, and also he's coached the club as well a few years ago, and with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. So, but what the good thing is, Michael Carrick has gone away to Middlesbrough, and you need to get some kind of experience as a young manager and make some mistakes here and there and understand it and go through the day-to-day, and then you're a better manager 2 or 3 years later. That's where we're going to see Michael Carrick right now. He's a very intelligent guy. He understands what he wants to do, but I think the really good thing is he understands what needs to happen, what needs to change, what tweaks need to happen for this current Manchester United. I hope he's successful. I think he's the right man for the job in terms of he's interim. Okay, interim period, pressure's on you straight away, but he can do it. You know, he's in a position where he can't lose.
And from a player's point of view, then, how important is it when a new manager comes in to set that intensity, to set that pace and that tempo of what you want from your team? And as Rob's just told you, it's the Manchester derby on Saturday at Old Trafford, and then it's a trip to the Emirates. I mean, you couldn't get much tougher, could you?
It can't get any tougher than that. I mean, Arsenal, probably the best team in the league right now. And then Manchester City, who I think will be, from my prediction, the champions at the end of it. You can't get harder than that. He's straight into the fire. But I think the really good thing is he's brought in, obviously, Jonathan Woodgate, Steve Holland as well. And the good thing is, he's got very good players, and of course the boys at the African Cup of Nations as well are coming back, so he's going to have a really, really talented group of players, and Bruno Fernandes is obviously back as well. So, and I know, you know, over the last kind of 6 months or so, he's been looking at Manchester United very, very closely, because he's there regularly. He would have seen and tried to understand what tweaks need to be changing, what's going wrong, what's working, what players like and don't like. But the one thing, he has to lead the club. Yes, he's head coach, but he has to lead the club. I think that's where Manchester United need right now. They need a leader who will give the players the best platform. If you're going to play Manchester City, you're going to play one of the best managers that's we've ever seen. It's going to be coach versus coach. So who's going to get out-coached? So you have to get into there very, very quickly.
But Rob, how easy is that to do, knowing that you're going to be leaving in 5-6 months' time? Michael Carrick. Yeah. How easy is it to implement all that in there, knowing that, you know, you're going to be leaving the job 5-6 months' time? You mentioned interim. I know Manchester United are using the head coach term still, but we know that come the summer, United are going to be looking elsewhere for their manager.
Yeah. The difficult thing is, and this is almost every football club, and we have to really pay attention to this, because I see this, it's a really negative thing in football that we do not give people enough time. Okay, you come in as interim, you've got 4 or 5 months. Okay, that's your period. So you have to show enough, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did, because I think he came in a few years ago as interim
originally,
but did so well, really lifted the team, lifted results, all of those things that you have to do because you're interim. It's very different than if you're a manager appointed and then you're given a 2-year contract, for example, and then you come in and then 3 or 4 months, you know, we look at Ange Postecoglou, people like that you're in 4 or 5 games, people saying, no, he's not good enough. No. Football is about time. You can't get past that. And every manager in the whole Premier League will tell you, I need time. It's because they understand they got 800 staff in the building to take care of, and also get this 11 on a certain day to be absolutely perfect, because in 3 days' time, they're not good enough. And 3 days later, they're amazing. They're the best thing ever. But it's very difficult. But I would give Michael Carrick this, though. I think he's going to do very well, because I really think that Manchester United right now are in actually a very, very good position. They're better than they were 14 months ago. So he inherits a very, very good squad. And I really like Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, Cunha. I'm a big fan of. I think he's a genius. And then Sesko is now coming into fire. So you've got so many positives there for him for the next few months. But it is going to be very, very difficult, because the pressure will be on him.
Let's move to the other side of Manchester and talk about City. And they could be close to losing their captain. We know that right now, James, a foreign club could sign a pre-contractual agreement with Bernardo Silva. Where looks his likely destination in 5 months' time?
Yeah, look, Juventus are one of those clubs that are interested in him. 31 years old, and it feels like he's a player who's been around for so long. I think he's been at City for 9 years now, but he's won so many trophies. He, I think, is looking at this time and going, you know what, I've done my dues here at Manchester City. I've enjoyed success, worked with arguably the best coach in world football. Now I've got one more move in me, and an opportunity to play in Serie A for a side like Juventus could come. Look, it might surprise many that Pep Guardiola might let him go, but we've seen from Pep Guardiola before that actually he's not scared of those decisions. If a player sees his future elsewhere, he never seems to ever stand in their way. So watch this space. He won't obviously be going in January, but has that opportunity to discuss terms with clubs abroad.
Yeah, Alex, Manchester City fan, you could say that your team are winning the transfer window so far with Antoine Semenyo. He has slipped right in there seamlessly, hasn't he? 2 goals in 2 games. Exeter and, of course, the League Cup semi-final against Newcastle last night, and probably should have had another goal. We won't get into that. And you certainly would have completed the transfer window if you can get Mark Gahey as well.
Yes, like you said, there's a lot of transfer talk. If it's not Bernardo Silva, it's not Semenyo. Now, of course, we've got the main thing that's going on. Like I said, I'm very happy with Semenyo the way he's come in. He showed his versatility instantly, playing on the right side instead of his favoured left side. And he showed the impact that he's made instantly as well. And if it's not against Exeter, playing on the left, and then yesterday against Newcastle, playing on the right. So that's what we need. We need a forward who can be versatile, who can be different. Just bring something different, of course. If things aren't working out, well, the likes of Savinho now being injured or whether he's not available, Semenyo's come in and he's stuck right in. I'm very happy with everything. I'm very happy with the transfer, yeah.
Yeah. So next up, of course,
it's Michael Carrick's first day in the job as Manchester United head coach, but his return to the club was confirmed last night. So what are his priorities at Old Trafford? We can go live to the club's training ground now and join our football correspondent, Rob Dorset. Right, Rob, good morning to you. Beautiful backdrop. Day one for Carrick. What is on that all-important to-do list?
Well, look, the biggest priority for Michael Carrick is to get to know his new coaching staff, never mind getting to know his new squad of players, because whilst he knows a lot of them, he doesn't know Steve Holland, for example, never worked with him before, neither has Jason Wilcox, Manchester United's director of football. And so they brought him in because of his experience, because of his pedigree, because of all he's done with elite managers in the past, and of course with Gareth Southgate at England, where he got to 4 major tournaments. But getting to know how he works, I think he will lead training, I think will be really, really interesting. We can show you the pictures of Michael Carrick and his assistant at Middlesbrough, who's now on the coaching staff here at Manchester United, Jonathan Woodgate, alongside him. They arrived at 7:51 this morning. The entire new coaching staff was in by 8:30 and the players all started arriving around 9 o'clock. My understanding is that they will hold an introductory meeting, probably happening about now as I speak to you, where Carrick will lay down to the players exactly what he expects of them, how he's going to work and the targets for the rest of the season before they get out onto the training field and hold their first training session with the squad, who've had the last 2 days off. They were scheduled days off, so it all starts today for Carrick and his new Manchester United squad. But he's got to hit the ground running because he's got only 3 training sessions before a baptism of fire, before his first game in charge, the Manchester Derby. Live on Sky Sports, of course, Saturday lunchtime.
Yeah, OK, Rob, just stay there if you can. I'm going to ask Darragh a question, then come back to you if you don't mind. The big question for Manchester United. Good morning, by the way, Darragh.
Good morning.
If Carrick does secure Champions League qualification, which would be quite the feat,
Yeah.
should he get the job permanently?
Ideally for United, probably not, because obviously it's not the sexy choice probably for a lot of fans and a lot of people. But for Carrick himself, he's got to do a couple of things. One, yes, you've got to get Champions League qualification to have a chance of getting a job. And two, the style of play's got to look good. If he can go in there and get them up and running and get the crowd excited and go back to the old school Man United, wide players, pace, attack, goals, knock off some big results, and I'm not talking about hanging on to beat somebody with a late goal. If he can put all that together and put some unbeaten runs together by the end of the season, then he's got a great chance. And other than that, if he doesn't get a job after doing all of that, he'll probably have his pick of jobs in the summer. So it's actually a win-win for him.
Yeah, I can understand that. Rob's still there for us. Right, Rob, from Manchester United's perspective, I've just been asking Darragh that question. Do you think that Carrick could stay on beyond the summer if he gets Champions League football?
It's certainly a possibility, but I think every time I get on the show with Darragh McAntony, I seem to agree with him. I think he's spot on in what he's just said there. Not necessarily that Manchester United want a sexy name, but I think, look, Manchester United have learnt a lesson from what happened with Ruben Amorim. They've looked at it and gone, well, OK, Erik ten Hag and Ruben Amorim were both coaches at, no disrespect, but not elite clubs in Europe, and they had a big step up to come to Old Trafford. And what's been explained to me is that the United's bosses right now felt that the job was too big for Amorim. The emotional response he had in a lot of news conferences, the way they felt he gave an unstable picture to the players. I might be here tomorrow, I might be still here in 20 years, I might be gone tomorrow. I'm rubbish, the players are rubbish, the players are brilliant. Those mixed messages they felt created instability and showed a lack of experience and a lack of ability to cope with a job of this magnitude. And from the people I spoke to close to Amorim, made it clear to me that Amorim was surprised at just how much noise there is about Manchester United, both inside and outside the building. So I don't think Manchester United want to make that same mistake again. I think when they go for a new head coach in the summer, they will go for some of the very big names. Maybe Carlo Ancelotti, maybe Luis Enrique, maybe Thomas Tuchel. That's the calibre of coach I think they're going to look at. Whether Manchester United can attract that calibre of coach for where they are right now, possibly not offering European football, certainly budget's very, very tight. The club's still in transition as they build for the future. I think that's a separate question, whether they can attract that calibre of coach, but I think that's their plan. And so that might make it difficult for Michael Carrick to try and compete with those, because he just hasn't got the same sort of CV that Ancelotti and Tuchel, etc. have got. But Darrag's absolutely right. He's the man in possession right now. If he can get off to a good start in these really difficult opening games against Manchester City and Arsenal, those are the first 2 games he's got up, and if he can achieve Champions League football, then he can't do much more than that, and he will certainly be considered as a candidate if he can achieve that for Manchester United in the 17 games of the season he's got left.
We are running a poll this morning. It's quite simple. Should Carrick get the job if he gets Champions League football? It's very, very split, actually. 52% saying no, so not far off 50-50 there. 48% saying yes, he should. Darragh, in terms of in January, every manager wants reinforcements, but
Sure.
Carrick, he is officially head coach, but his contract is until the end of the season. Do you think he'll have any say on transfers?
I don't think he'll have a massive say. I'm not sure if previous managers had a massive say recently, but I think, look, in his inbox, his in tray, what's Carrick got to do? He's obviously got to win over the players. He's got to win over the fans. He's got to win over the media. He's got to win football games. He's got to do it stylistically really well, and he's obviously got to get them in the Champions League. I don't think he's worried about who they can sign this month. He's got to work with the group that he's got. He's got to bring them all together. The last couple of games haven't gone to plan on their fletch, so they got to look at that and go, right, how do we hit the Champions League and how do we do this? So, like I said prior, this is perfect for Carrick, because if he goes in there and he has a good go, and let's say he falls short and he finishes 5th or 6th, but it looks good on the eye, he'll have his pick of some big jobs in the summer. If he goes in there and hits 4th place, and they do it with style, and they score a lot of goals doing it, then you'll have the clamour from the fans to want to give him the job. For the owners, it'll be an easy decision. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I like the backroom staff they put together. He's got a lot of experience in there. The Steve Holland one was an interesting one, and probably the surprise for me, and probably the best one they've done.
Well, actually, I want to get to Steve Holland in a moment, Rob, but just on those transfers, do you think Carrick will have any say? I'm just trying to think. Permanent transfers, maybe not, but in terms of maybe loans with options to buy, maybe he would be back. That's just me speaking out loud.
Look, United won't change the system. Whoever the head coach is, whether it's Ruben Amorim or whether it's Michael Carrick, the system remains the same and the plan remains the same. And that is that, of course, the head coach is consulted before any recruitment is carried out. So Carrick will have a say. But look, I don't want to give the impression that I expect Manchester United to do a lot of business in the January transfer window. I don't. There's a big part of me that thinks they might not bring anybody in this month. Yes, they were in for Semenyo and missed out to Manchester City, but Semenyo was a long-term target for Manchester United, and they knew that the only chance they had to get him was in this January window. So they brought forward their plans, and they would have made the money available. That doesn't mean they've suddenly got £65 million to spend elsewhere on players. They just won't do it because they've had a long-term plan over several transfer windows to reorganise and restructure the squad. The summer transfer window was all about the numbers, the data they'd done in the background that said, look, we aren't scoring enough goals. The quickest way to get us up the table is to score more goals. And guess what? This season, Manchester United are scoring more goals. And guess what? They've gone up the table. They're 7th in the Premier League with a chance of making Champions League football. So on the face of it, even though there's still a lot wrong with the squad and the club right now, that bit seems to be working right. They got that right. It was always the next transfer window where they were going to address the next big problem in the squad, one that they're struggling with now. They desperately need a central defensive midfield player. They're looking at João Gomez. They're looking at Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba. These are the big names that they want. But you're talking £80 million probably for each of those. Manchester United would like to get 2 if they possibly can. So they're not going to spend money this January that will prejudice their chances of getting the big names in and sticking to their plan in the summer. And Michael Carrick will have to fall in line with that. And Ruben Amorim did. He didn't like it. He wanted to strengthen in January, and there was some friction between him and Jason Wilcox over that. There won't be friction with Michael Carrick. He's come into this job with his eyes open. He knows he's got to work with the squad that he's got.
And Darragh, you brought up the coaching setup. Rob, you know that Steve Holland is coming in, as Darragh mentioned. Jonathan Woodgate, who's worked with him in the past, has come in. Steve Holland has been at Chelsea. He's understood the pressures of being in the England setup as well. Woodgate has played at the highest level, just like Carrick has as well. But do you think, Darragh, that they've come in terms of helping with the big pressure?
Absolutely.
Which Ruben Amorim said he struggled with.
Woodgate's been with him for a long while, so they know each other, and that's probably a management team wherever they go to manage a club. But Steve Holland is a good one because of his experience from England, the big club environment. He'll make it a lot more comfortable for Michael Carrick while he does his day-to-day stuff. So I actually think they've got that spot on. Going back to what Rob was saying there about the window and signing these world-class midfielders and everything else, the other thing you have to consider, even if they did agree a deal for one of those players that Rob's mentioned, and there's 3 or 4 of them in there, do those players want to go to Man United at the moment where they don't know who the manager is going to be? Even though it's not really relevant about transfers who the manager is. If you're one of those players, you're like, well, I kind of want to see the speed of direction Man United are going in. So, no, I ain't going in January. I'll wait till the summer and see where this goes.
And Rob, in terms of that backroom staff, how did that come about? It surprised me when I heard Steve Holland's name.
It surprised me as well. It surprised everybody. I don't think he was on the agenda, and that's because he's never worked with Jason Wilcox before. He's never worked with Michael Carrick before. He's never had any connection with Manchester United before. So that definitely came out of left field. But I think you have to say it's a bit of a coup for Manchester United. It was Michael Carrick's suggestion to go for him. Everybody knew that he was out of work and he was available. So look, the truth is, with Manchester United's finances right now, that appealed. They didn't have to pay compensation or wrestle him out of another club. But you look at some of the managers he's worked with in the past. Came into Chelsea in 2009 under Andre Villas-Boas. He then worked with Roberto Di Matteo, Rafa Benitez, Jose Mourinho, Gus Hiddink, Antonio Conte, and then Gareth Southgate with the England setup, where they went to 4 major tournament finals, 2 European Championship finals in that time. He's been there and he's done it. He's worked with the best players in the world. He's now at Manchester United. I think that's a good move from Manchester United to get his experience, his nous in there, alongside what is a pretty fledgling coaching staff the rest of the time. And I expect Steve Holland to be the man who's leading things on the training field, talking to Michael Carrick directly about the tactical preparation for the Manchester City game on Saturday. He's going to be a really important voice for Michael Carrick and the rest of the coaches as Manchester United try to build towards the end of this season. And I would just say as well, I suspect Steve Holland's been a little bit nervous today as well. He's never been involved in club football for the last 8 years. So this is the first time where he's going back to the day-to-day training and running of a football club. He didn't have that under Gareth Southgate. He didn't have that with England. So it's all a bit new for everybody today. And so that's why the introductory meeting that's happening right now, I think, where the coaches are talking to the players, I think the next few days, everybody's going to learn a lot about each other. And that means it's a bit of an unknown spectrum, an unknown quantity, what Manchester United will look like and how they're going to perform in this first game live on Sky Sports on Saturday lunchtime.
Rob, just a quick question, and I don't want to think conspiracy-wise here, but has Steve Holland been planted in there with an eye on Gareth Southgate for the summer?
That's exactly what Charlie Austin said yesterday. Yeah, exactly the same thing, Rob. So a lot of people are obviously saying that. I know sometimes you put 2 and 2 together.
He did say that, right, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
But no,
you can tell I watched the show on my days off.
Sometimes you put 2 and 2 together and actually it's
right. Okay.
What do you make of that, Rob? Because I was surprised when Charlie said it, but I also did see the sense to it, and Darren said it as well.
Yeah.
There's sense to it, but it's categorically not happening. Listen, Gareth Southgate is not on the radar of Manchester United right now. I'm sorry to ruin that story, because it would be a great story. And Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate are very, very close. They're close friends, irrespective of what they've achieved together with England. But no, my understanding is that Manchester United are not interested in Gareth Southgate to potentially take the job long term. And it's certainly not a precursor to him coming in, the fact that his good friend and assistant has been employed right now.
Bueno, al final Rayo ya sabemos que viene de una dinámica negativa, pero ha ido poco a poco a mejor. Creo que han hecho un partidazo y a lo mejor un empate hubiese sido más justo, porque ellos sí que es verdad que han chutado más y a lo mejor han tenido alguna más. Pero bueno, yo creo que también por su dinámica de que les ha costado empezar a ganar y tal, no sacan los puntos, pero creo que si siguen trabajando así pueden estar ellos muy tranquilos de que les va a salir las cosas. Sí, yo creo que él era el que más ganas tenía de ganarnos, porque al final somos como los alumnos y que te gane el alumno es una mierda, pero bueno, lo queremos mucho, lo seguimos respetando como entrenador y más como persona, así que toda la suerte es para él. Bueno, sí, está pasando un mal momento, yo lo sé, el equipo, yo creo que hay gente que es un poco consciente, pero yo sé de primera mano que lo está pasando mal y creo que es el que más se lo merece, porque es el que lo da todo y eso es lo más importante. No me gustaría cruzarme con Barrio, porque el playoff es un equipo que siempre se me da mal, siempre nos complica la vida y creo que es muy complicado. Bueno, lo que quiero es ir a México y si además quedó Pichichi ya ese es un regalazo, pero lo importante es lo de hoy, que hemos ganado y nos vamos a México.